The films Parasite and Snowpiercer, both created by acclaimed director Bong Joon-ho, are each examples of movies under the dark thriller genre. While comparing these films in structural and artistic forms, I will also be assessing the societal messages delivered throughout the film. Parasite is a film set in Korea that follows the Kim clan, an impoverished, unfortunate, and struggling family who is initially trapped in a destitute semi-basement. When Ki-woo, or Kevin, the son of the family, happens to land a tutoring job with the wealthy Park family, he is taken aback by the immense contrast in the quality of living compared to his own home. Seeing an opportunity, Kevin begins to scheme with his family as to how they may all implement themselves through jobs into the Park family. And one by one, they each fill a role that the Park family had needed filled prior, or create an opening themselves. Their greed, swindling, and malicious intentions set them up for failure as complexities arise. Snowpiercer is quite different in setting, taking place on an apocalyptic, Ark-like train. Snowpiercer follows Curtis, a revolutionary and leader in the poor back end of the train, with developing intentions to rise up and take over the train, who is headed by the creator of the vehicle, Wilbur. Similar to Parasite, Curtis and his people slowly take over the train in stages, pushing past different obstacles and discovering a new world of unfathomable wealth. This revolution loses all purpose as Curtis reaches the head of the train and realizes the true nature of his existence and his intentions.
As if there aren't enough crazies on this train.
While the setting of these two films contrasts greatly, the metaphors and messages delivered through said metaphors are almost identical. Both films utilize a directional metaphor to illustrate the class-based system, up-down in Parasite, and left-right in Snowpiercer, which the main characters of both films find themselves trapped in. Within both films, the climbing of their respective societal ladder is not easy or backed by good intentions. In Parasite, the Kim family uses their wit to unjustly remove others from their positions in order to fill their place, even going as far as using the housekeeper's life-threatening allergy to their advantage.
곤란해 천식에 아주 쌩 난리가 난다네.
However, within Snowpiercer, the violence and brutality is much more frequent. There exist countless scenes with bloody and gore-filled fighting and ruthless murders. The ascension of Curtis and his group is much more like a revolution than the infiltration of the Kim family. Regardless of the specifics that led to their climb through the classes, both films deliver the main characters to a defeatist ending. Parasite and Snowpiercer both begin with our protagonists, living in far below par conditions and struggling to get by with the bare minimum. In Snowpiercer, we watch the train inhabitants ingesting brown gelatinous protein blocks, their only source of food, and living in a claustrophobic and filthy environment. In Parasite, the Kim family is introduced in their small semi-basement, without air conditioning, free space, and folding pizza boxes to make small amounts of money. They even allow their house to be smoked out, with them still inside, for the reasoning that they would receive free fumigation.
내가 아까 다들 그랬지?
닫을까요?
In both films, our main characters are trapped due to circumstance, lack of opportunity, or for reasons out of their control, which will only drive them to push through the classes later on. However, for the Kim family, this opportunity does arrive, as Kevin's friend Min, who offers Kevin a job at the Park household, a ticket to the top of the social ladder. For Curtis and his revolutionaries, this opportunity arrives after they determine that the guards keeping them in no longer have bullets. This allows them to take their first step. And so, for both characters, the push begins, with their respective foot in the door. As stated previously, both of these films utilize a ladder metaphor, which illustrates the different steps taken by the main protagonists to reach their respective goals. Within Parasite, this happens as each family member of the Kim clan is implemented into the Park household. Kevin, via a tutoring position, Jessica, his sister, as an art teacher, their mother, Jong-suk, as a replacement for the previous maid, which they forced out, and finally Mr. Kim, the father, as Mr. Park's driver. However, in Snowpiercer, the steps towards the top are more literal, as Curtis leads his people through train cars, one at a time, discovering new and foreign things to them as they are left in awe and wonder, all while still remaining in line with their goal of the frontmost train car. While these ascensions occur, both groups experience the wealth of those above them, which brings them to develop psychologically as they begin to understand the disparities that exist between them and those at the top. These realizations will become a driving factor in their endings. Things start to take a turn for the worse in both films as their unrepressed invasions are now met with backlash. The Kim family comes into contact with a new obstacle in the form of the former maid and her husband, who has been dwelling in the park's basement bunker. Curtis watches as those closest to him are killed, damaging his psyche and threatening his rationale and will. Neither set of protagonists are on the easy path anymore. They are all forced to conform to a new set of scenarios that will test them and ultimately bring them to a breaking point.
어떻게 할 거야?
No revolution, military coup, or uprising in history has been without sacrifice, loss, or bloodshed. Our protagonists in both films are not exempt from this. Challenging the class structure of a society, artificial or natural, is never an easy task, as we can see by the constant tiptoeing of the Kim family and the frequent physical struggles of the train inhabitants. Both films begin to display our main characters' descent into madness, a realization of their actions and place in the world, the acknowledgement that things are not as simple as they may seem. For Curtis, this arrives as a monologue for the train's captain, Wilbur, which makes him lose all will and hope for what he'd initially wanted.
When was the last time you were alone? You can't remember, can you? So please do take your time.
In Parasite, this arrives in the final gruesome scene where Mr. Kim kills Mr. Park in an act of rage against his high-class counterpart. Our protagonists are brought back to reality, forced to reflect on their actions and how it led them to such an ending. However, even after such a bitter end to some of our protagonists, we see a continuation of hope. Yona is the first person to ever exit the train, accompanied with a child, a metaphor for the future. While Ki-woo ascends the capitalistic ladder legitimately and even purchases the house his father is trapped in.
때나 보여주는 건 아닌데
돈을 벌면
귀한 돈 오셨으니까
이 집부터 사겠습니다. 이사 들어간 날에는
But regardless, both films are left on a bittersweet note, as the endings are left up to interpretation, wondering if Yona can actually bring forth a future for the world and if Ki-woo actually became the wealthy man he wanted to be, or if it was simply a glimmer of hope. Parasite and Snowpiercer exemplify the real-world struggles of those trapped in an unfair class system. Utilizing multiple varying metaphors and visuals, we can clearly see the true message of both films. Social inequality is never easy to conquer.
건강하세요. 그럼 이만.